Hey, Sven here. If you're using Pipedrive, then you already have a pretty cool CRM system. It works great and it's actually fun to use. And they also advertise that you can automate your entire sales process. And that's actually true for the sales process, but what about at the beginning? And what about at the end? So for example, when a new deal comes in, how is the data enriched? Or at the end, when you've won a deal, how, for example, is a contract and an invoice created, and so on, sent out? And for that, we've built a few automations with Make. We're offering them to you as a free package to download with instructions and everything. And when you set them up for yourself, you'll really get some serious added value. Created benefits for the type drive and what these scenarios do, this automation. I show that here in this video, and yes, I think it's great because this way you can get a little more out of a system like this. What are we doing here? If a new song comes in, we can create it automatically. We can submit the company data. We will send a welcome email to the if you have signed a contract, or rather, if you have won a deal, you can automatically create a contract here, which will then be sent to the customer via DocuSign. And when the customer has signed the contract, you can even automatically, for example, automatically create an invoice here with Lexoffice or another financial accounting system. And that delivers so much additional value because it saves you repetitive work. And because you also automate these processes, which are really quite tedious and therefore often prone to errors, you simply make them automatic. Yes, exactly. You can download the package for free. And now I'll show you in this video how the whole thing works. I'm Sven, I'm an entrepreneur, and I've been working on process optimization and quality for over 33 years. And not just in business, but in all areas of life. And much of what I can do today, I learned through experience and trial and error. And I know what really works. And in my videos, I want to show you how you can use intelligent process automation profitably for yourself and your business. And if you're not quite sure where to start, or if you just have any questions, just get in touch. Book a free call with me. You'll find the link for that below this video. So let's get started. The first scenario is triggered when a new lead comes in. And in this specific case, we've set up an Airtable where these new leads are entered. Of course, you'll also get this Airtable included in the package with fields like email, first name, last name, etc. And here you basically have the fields that come from your lead generation. So either through a lead magnet, a form on your website, or a newsletter sign up. And these are not always complete because you want to ask for as little information as possible to keep the barrier low so that people actually sign up. So new entry here, execute this scenario. Then these new entries are read here. Then you can adjust the welcome message that is sent out by email afterwards. And then we check in Pipedrive, does this person already exist? And if yes, then only a note is added. And if not, then the person is created. That means we create a new entry here with first name, last name, and email. And then the question is, how do I get additional information about this person? In our video about HubSpot, we showed a way to do this by reading the website poorly. With JetGPT, you can interpret it and make it very comprehensive through a Perplexity search. But you can also use a tool like People Data Labs, for example, where you, let me just show this here, where you can read company data via the API and enrich your data set. Yes, then we create the organization for it, and then we create a deal for it as well. And a corresponding follow-up so that we basically say, in 3 days I need to call there again, and then we send the customer a welcome email with the information you entered earlier in the scenario. So that means it's actually quite simple in concept, but extremely useful because many tasks that normally take time or are a bit tedious are carried out through this automation. That's the bottom line. You have a complete data record. The customer has reliably received their email, and you've made a good start. After that, you continue working with your customer, make them offers, and at some point they give you confirmation that they want to place an order. And then, for example, you want to finalize the service contract with them. The service contract basically always looks the same, but there are already a few steps involved that are just tedious because they're really always the same steps. So that means in this second scenario, we've made an offer to the customer. Now the customer says that they want to accept the offer. Then we have these standard items that go into the contract. We gather details about the deal, we gather details about the person, and we gather details about the organization. And now, based on a document template, in this case, a Google Doc, we create this service contract. Yes, and this service contract, of course, needs the company name, these line items, the date, how long it runs, and when it renews, what it costs, the payment terms, and much more. And then this document is created and downloaded, typically as a PDF if you set the type to PDF here. Then you upload this document to the deal. That's super easy. You just need to use the upload file and the deal ID, and it's automatically recognized that you have a download here. And then, for example, you can use a tool like DocuSign to send this document to the customer for signature. That means you have the email, the name, the recipients, and all the settings you need for DocuSign here. Of course, there are other tools you can use for this as well, but the idea behind it is that everything happens automatically and we don't have to start printing out documents anymore, and whatever else is necessary for that. Once the customer has signed this contract, we can then execute the next process here, namely that the contract is signed, and this scenario is immediately and automatically informed about it. Then we extract the deal ID here, and now we need all this data from Pipedrive. Retrieve deal, update deal, retrieve the person, retrieve the organization, retrieve the deal products, then split up the address accordingly here. Then we need some variables here again, for example, the taxes, the tax rate, the company name. And now, in this case, we simply created an automatic invoice with Lexware. Whether you use Lexware here or any other system doesn't matter for now. The idea behind it is what's cool. That means here, we create a contact in Lexware with this company name. Then we create a new invoice document with the contact details and all this pertinent information about what we ultimately sold to them. Following this, we then generate this invoice document. We meticulously create this invoice document, download it again as a PDF file, upload it to the deal record, and then we have an email here again with which we can communicate, with which we then want to send this document to the customer, and in the end we simply send this email. Yes, and in this way, if you want to conclude such a standard contract with a customer, for example, you have simplified this process and made it so much more valuable because you no longer have to deal with these endlessly repetitive tasks. And with that, your Pipedrive and your entire process will become even more valuable. Download this free package. Inside you will find all the blueprints, descriptions, Airtable templates, and so on. And then you can further upgrade your Pipedrive accordingly. I wish you lots of fun with it. Until next time, bye.